Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker. I hope everybody's doing well and having a wonderful weekend so far. We've got an epic unboxing today. I've got 3 boxes here which contain a partial collection of a long-term stacker and collector, and I gotta say I'm super excited to crack open into these boxes and share with you the unique pieces that are hidden within. Now, before we get into this, I wanted to give you all a quick update. I know there's a lot of people eagerly checking back on the website, awaiting the next SBS drop, thinking that it might drop early, and I'm sorry to say that this week we're gonna have to postpone the SBS drop, and that's just due to some internal issues we're having with verification for our current credit card payment processor. It's just the story of our life. It's a circle that never ends, and it keeps going on and going on. And so now that we've provided additional information to our payment processor, we're now awaiting. Of course, it's the start of the weekend, so we're awaiting 2 business days before we can hear back to them and resume business as normal. And so because of that, we've decided we're holding off on this week's SBS drop because, as you know, the SBS drops are very competitively priced, and so they generate a lot of traffic and a lot of excitement to the website, and which is great, but we are not interested in holding individuals' payments for an extra 2 business days just because our payment processor is holding those funds. And so if you do place an order within the next couple of days, please note that there will be a little bit of shipping delays until we get these issues resolved. But we are certainly not going to go ham with a SBS drop when our payment processor is giving us the runaround. And so patience is a virtue, and so let's all just be patient and persistent. Now, persistence is going to be required when we open up this massive unboxing, so let's go ahead and get right into it, and I'll do my best to kind of edit this video because this is going to be a lengthy one, folks. Alright, so let's just go ahead and start where we can. Let's start over on this end and see what we got in here in one of these square-shaped boxes. Very nicely packed. Alright. Extremely well packed. This is how professionals do it. Everything is nicely organized. That's what I like to see. This is a very, very big unboxing. So this right here, I'm very happy to say, this is all quite, harder to find vintage. And so this is not just your typical unboxing, right? These are all items that are not easy to find. And so I'm super excited about being able to pick up vintage in this sort of quantity because it's not something that is normal. This is a chunker. Holy cow, that is a chunker indeed. So let's go ahead and open these one at a time. I guess that's the only way to do it. Nicely organized. Everything is nicely labeled, and it tells me exactly what's inside each. That is freaking awesome. I'm always going to be looking at that as a very nice opportunity. So go ahead and look at these. These are just so nicely labeled. Everything is labeled with the contents within. That is what I call professionalism. Wow. Talk about a lot of contents with them. So let's go ahead and see how many little chunkers of a package that we have. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's inside each of these. So let's go ahead and start with this. This thing is unnamed. Oops. Sorry, MJ. Sorry about that, MJ. There you go. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got in this first one. This first one is crazy. This first one is absolutely nuts. This is something I don't even have. You've seen on my channel before. You've seen a 3rd series Engelhard Australia vintage bar. So I'm not talking about those modern poured bars. I'm talking about the pressed. Engelhard Australia vintage bars. So take a look at these. So right here, you'll be able to see up close. There's 3 different types of Engelhard Australia vintage bars. These are, well, when it comes to the 1 ounce variety, there's actually 4 types of Engelhard Australia vintage 1 ounce bars. One of them is a poured variety. I've never seen one of those available for sale, ever. Very cool bar. Only seen pictures of it. But this right here, you'll find these are 3 different variations of the other 3 pressed Engelhard Australia vintage bars. And so there's only 4 1 ounce bar types that exist from the Engelhard Australia vintage, okay? And this is 3 of them. Now, out of these 3, there's only 500 of these that exist, there's only 500 of these that exist, and there's only 500 of these that exist. And so this is right here, the type 3. This is something I've actually got a couple of, and this is actually the last version of the Engelhard Australia 1 ounce bar that was created. This one right here is the type 1. This one you'll see has actually the boldest font out of all of them. You'll see that. It's very readily apparent if you look at them up front. This one is a little bit more smoother, and that one's very, very chunky on the logo and the text. And then here's the series 2. This one falls somewhere in between. So I'm really excited as a collector to be able to get one of each type, because I hadn't gotten a type 1 or 2 yet, but I have managed to pick up a type 3. So Engelhard Australia, we're starting off with a bang. This is a really these are really nice pieces. They pack a lot of value inside a very, very small amount of weight, right? So that's not something you're used to when you're stacking silver, right? That's something you're more used to when you're stacking gold, but these tiny little bars here pack a lot of value, right? But of course, very unliquid, right? Because there's not a lot of interested buyers once you reach that sort of a price point. But regardless of that fact, I'm very, very excited about this pickup. And this is just one of many epic inclusions inside a very epic unboxing. So let's go ahead and quickly go into the next one and see what we got here. I just am floored at how wonderfully packed this is. Now this next item here is another one that I've been quite a nice big collector of. Whenever I do see them available, which is not very often, I do try to grab them. Now, the reason I say that they're not available that often is because this is a tier 1 bar, Johnson Matthey produced bar for Scotiabank. And this is actually a 500 minted bar. If you look at the 5 ounce variety on allengelhard.com, you'll quickly find that this is just a 500 minted bar. And so that's why you'll see it selling at a higher premium. But again, this is an example of something that's not so big. It's just a nice little chunker, but it packs a lot of value, right? Because it's got many layers of value. You got original seal, you got a 500 minted low mintage bar, it's a Johnson Matthey, Scotiabank, right? So this is just, I would say this is my favorite 5 ounce bar to collect. Just for personal reasons, this is probably my favorite 5 ounce bar to collect. So now we can go ahead and take a look at literally what's in here. Now the Escalante mine bars are something I first found out about when I was watching Savage Stacker's channel. Savage Stacker is a big fan of the Escalante mine bars because he did happen to pick up a nice, I believe, 10 ouncer when he was at his LCS, and so he got that for a nice premium. These don't normally sell at a low premium, and so he was able to pick up his 10 ounce bar at a very nice price. These bars are not that accessible because the mintage is quite low actually, and especially once you start getting into the heavier bars like the 5 and the 10 ounce bars, well, then you start to get into a situation where the mintages are even lower. So now when we go to the All Engelhard website and we search for 5-ounce bars, and we search for specifically Escalante mine bars, well, you'll notice, as I had already mentioned, that there's one with a date and one without a date. And now the 5-ounce bars are actually quite a bit more rare than like the 1-ounce bars, for example, because there's only two types, right? There's one with the date and there's one without the date. And the one with the date, the 1982 date stamp, that's 1,000 minted, right? That's a 1,000 minted bar. And so there's only 1,000 of these out there that exist with that 1982 date stamp, right? And this is actually in the original factory seal. So this is a very, very nice pickup of 1,000 minted bar. And not only is that a 1,000 minted bar, but we've got two 1,000 minted bars in the same original factory seal again. So always nice to pick up a duplicate there. Now, in addition to this, we also have an undated Escalante mine bar now. So the undated Escalante mine bar is even more rare, twice as rare to be exact. And this actually is so rare that it falls into tier 1 rarity, meaning it is a 500 minted bar. This is a Johnson Matthey 500 minted Escalante mine bar. Super, super excited to pick up that bar. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out. These are not anything that are extremely rare, but they're Johnson Mattheys nonetheless. So they're serialized Johnson Matthey bars, and so for me, that's something that piqued my interest. And you know, some of the more common bars that are a little bit higher mintage, things like that, those types of bars will sell at a more reasonable premium, right? You're not having to go spend 40, 50, maybe even more an ounce on a, you know, on a 10-ounce bar or something like that. You might be able to get something smaller, like a smaller denominational piece, like a 5-ounce instead of a 10-ouncer, and then you might be able to get it at an even better premium, right? Now, what I've noticed is that for whatever reason, this happens sometimes. And I think this is kind of changing over time, but at least in the past, what I've noticed is that 5-ounce bars sometimes even sell at a higher premium when you do the math and you kind of compare it to a 10-ounce bar. So that's something weird that I've noticed. So always kind of keep an eye out on the premium when you're comparing a 5 and a 10-ounce bar, because sometimes the 5-ounce bar is not a better value. But what I wanted to say is that slowly, I think that trend is changing. I think people are starting to realize that, like, look, a 5-ounce bar is just as easy to make as a 10-ounce bar, and so you shouldn't have to be paying a premium just because there's fewer 5-ounce bars out there, right? A 5-ounce bar is not as popular of a choice for, I guess, refiners, and so sometimes you even notice that, like, on some of these rare vintage bars, for example, like the Scotiabank, like this is a great example. The Scotiabank Johnson Matthey 5-ounce bar is only 500 minted. But then if you go up to the Scotiabank 10-ounce bar, that's 10,000 minted for Johnson Matthey. And so, but then if you go for the Scotiabank Engelhard 10-ounce bar, that's 250 minted. So it really differs, and you really have to do your research, right? 500 minted, but then your larger bar, it depends on the refiner. If you're going to Engelhard, it's only 250, so it's half as many of these. But if you go to Johnson Matthey, which is the same refiner as this, you're all of a sudden 20xing the supply for the 10-ounce bar, which makes no sense. So always do your research when it comes to that kind of stuff as well. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Mintage matters. And so this right here, these are just going to be common Hammer logo Johnson Matthey 5-ounce bars. This one actually comes in the original seal, as does this one. And this one does not. Okay. So here we've just got some common, I'm not even going to bother doing the research on these, but we just got some relatively common 5-ounce bars by Johnson Matthey. Always nice to pick that kind of stuff up. Let's go ahead and see what we got over here. Engelhard MTB 5-ounce bars. So an MTB is Manfred Tordello and Brooks. You guys have seen these bars on the channel before, and these are actually Engelhards, right? And so Engelhard pressed Liberty bars, and these are not just the 1-ounce variety, but these are actually the 5-ounce variety. And these are not Johnson Matthey, but these are actually Englehards. And so the way to distinguish between the Liberty bars when you're comparing Johnson Matthey and you're comparing Engelhard is to simply look at the back of the bar, and on the back of the bar you will find a very, very recognizable mark. It's either going to be an E with a square in it, and that's going to be your indicator that it is an Engelhard, or you're going to have the classic JM Hammer logo featured there. And since these are Englehards, what you're actually going to come to find is that it's got a tiny little E right over here. Right over here. You'll see the little E. Okay? So you got one Liberty bar 5 ounce here. You got one Liberty bar 5 ounce here. And let's take a look at the front of that too. I didn't even show you the Liberty. This one's a nice toner as well. Very nice. And sometimes these actually come with the assay cards as well. So you're going to want to keep an eye out for that whenever you're buying the Liberty bars. At least currently, they frequently come with the assay card. And so if you can find them with the assay card, that's just another nice added layer of value. So take a look at these. 3 Engelhard 5 ounce Liberty bars. And these are from 1986 MTB. Let's go ahead and check the mintage on that real quick. I actually don't recall off the top of my head, but it's 7,500 minted, 7,500, and we got 3 of them right here. It's not a high mintage. I know, for example, over here. So over here, we've got a nice big selection of 1 ounce Liberty bars, and these are all Englehards as well. It's an E. You see that E logo? And so I've noticed recently, I've been a big collector of these Liberty bars for quite a while now, and I've noticed that they're starting to sell at kind of like crazy premiums, because here's the thing, like I always tell you, you got to do research, and I collect these because I love them, right? And I've always loved them, and I still love them. But let's go ahead and go to allengelhard.com and check out the mintages for the 1 ounce Liberty bars. Okay, and these are Englehards, so let's go ahead and see what the Englehards are. 75,000 minted. It's 10 times. There's 10 times more Liberty Engelhard bars that are 1 ounce than there are 5 ounces. So these ones are 7,500, and these ones they're 75,000. But the nice thing is that these, I think all of them that I picked up, they all come with the original assay card, and so that's a nice layer of value. Like, it's tough to pay a premium for items like this, but sometimes, you know, you get that added layer of value, and it's hard to pass it up. So here we've got all these Liberty Trade bars, all Englehards, all with the original assay card. Don't have that with the 5 ounce bars, but I do have them with the 1 ounce bars. And so it's always really, really nice to be able to stack bars that have that added layer of value. So here we have a nice selection, I believe, of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 indeed. So let's go ahead and keep making our way through this epic unboxing. I don't even know if we're going to have enough room on the table to grab all this, so we'll have to see. This one right here is a JM Johnson Matthey King Coil 1 ounce bar. And so I know that this King Coil bar comes in a couple types. I know that there's one that has a thinner kind of text and design, and that is the rarer of the two. Now, I'm not a collector of King Coil bars, and I remember Stack That Gold mentioned them to me one time, and I thought they were pretty cool looking, but it's not something that I really started stacking. But I had an opportunity to pick a couple up, and so I thought, hey, why not give a start to the King Coil collection? And so these bars in particular are in the original factory seal, which is super cool. We're gonna need to get the experts in on this, but to me, this is looking like 2 of the lower mintage, thinner text bars, or 1 of each. I can't really tell, but definitely at least one of them I think is the thinner variety. Now, the reason that matters so much is because the King Coil that has the thicker font, those are actually 10,000 minted, but the ones with the thinner font, That's a tier 1 bar. It's a 500 minted bar. And so this is something we'll have to kind of do a little bit more research on, but I'm quite sure that at least one of these is the thinner variety. So I'm going to set these aside right here for now, and we'll continue on. Okay, so here we've got some new bars to add to the stack, as well as some duplicates from the past. So we were just picking up these Escalante Mine bars, right? And so I was telling you that there's also, 10-ounce variety, there's also a 1-ounce variety, and so I managed to pick up also a 1-ouncer as well. And this 1-ouncer is with the date. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the mintages once again. But this is in the original factory seal, Escalante Mine bar. The one with the date is 3000 minted. If we had an undated one, which I do actually have undated ones on the 1-ounce variety, that would be a 1000 minted. Both of them tier 2 bars though. Escalante Mine 1-ounce, doesn't matter which type you have, they're both going to be a tier 2 bar. So that's really exciting. Always excited to add duplicates to the stack. Now over here, one is in the original seal, one is toning in a nice capsule, but these are both Republic of National Bank of New York, and these are actually also Johnson Matthey bars, believe it or not. You've got the JM Hammer logo there on the back, and so these Royal Bank bars, these are 5000 minted, I believe. Right? It's always nice to pick up a nice layer of value like that. So adding some Royal National Bank of New York bars produced by Johnson Matthey to the stack. Those are new additions. Wasn't I telling you that this is one of my favorite bars to stack, is the Scotiabank Johnson Matthey 500 minted bar? Well, it sure is, and so apparently there's another one in here, which I am not mad about at all. So here's another duplicate. We got a Scotiabank 5-ounce bar produced by Johnson Matthey. Serial number 001780. And this one, the serial number is 001778. Wow. 17801778. Almost sequential serials. Wow. Almost sequential serials. Very close serials. I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, let's take a look here. Here's a Johnson Matthey 5-ounce bar, but this one is a blank back. Okay, that's pretty cool. So over here we had some Johnson Matthey bars with the hammer logo on the back, but this one's a blank back. I'm not sure what the mintages, how the mintages differ there, but I assure you there's probably a mintage difference there between those two bars. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Here we got some Johnson Matthey Scotiabank 1-ounce bars. Okay. So you're sensing a pattern here, right? I know what I like to collect, and it seems that this collector likes to collect a lot of the same stuff. And so here we've got 3 Scotiabank silver bars produced by Johnson Matthey, all in the original factory seal. And I believe that, so I know that the 1-ounce Scotiabank Engelhard bars, those are 1000 minted, and there's only one type of those. But when you get to the Johnson Matthey bars, and I've said this before, there are multiple types of Scotiabank bars. I haven't said that before, but what I've said before is that Johnson Matthey has a lot more variation in their bar types, and they have a lot more bars with lower mintage. And so when it comes to Johnson Matthey actually has 3 different types of Scotiabank bars. 2 of them look very similar to this, and one of them basically has a slightly bigger Scotiabank logo, right? I think all of these are, yeah, these are all the 1000 minted variety. So these are all 1000 minted, but there's actually one that looks very similar to this that has a slightly bigger Scotiabank logo, and that's only 100 minted. Okay, so there's two types there, and then there's also another Scotiabank bar that looks quite a bit different than these, and that's 100 minted as well, and doesn't have a serial number on it either, whereas these ones have serial numbers on them. So there's three different types of Scotiabank bars. This is the most common, but when I say it's the most common, there's only 1,000 of these out there. So getting your hands on a 1 ounce Scotiabank vintage bar of any type, it's going to cost you a pretty penny, pretty much. That's just a fact. That's just a fact, because the liquidity is so low, and so there's, there doesn't have to be a lot of hands gunning after the same bar. There just needs to be a few, because when there's such a small supply like this, even just a couple people going after that same bar will cause a drastic price increase, right? Because it becomes a bidding war, essentially, is what it is, right? There's no other way to put it. So that's that. Very exciting stuff. Some new Scotiabanks to add to the stack. Always happy about that fact. Let's go ahead and check out what else we got here. Saving the best for last. So here's something cool, actually. These are some Johnson Matthey produced bars for a photography company from back in the day called Suitors. Okay, now there's two different bar types for Suitors. And this is the most common. This is the more common one. This one actually is in the original factory seal. This has the kind of the big Suitors logo there. And so when it comes to the Suitors bars, there's two different types here. The rarer version is a 5,000 minted bar, and then this version right here is a 15,000 minted bar. This is the more rarer type, which is 5,000, and this is the more common type, which is 15,000. And the reason I started kind of collecting these was because I actually came across, you'll actually find it on the website, but I came across these really, what I thought were pretty cool kind of novelty pieces, which were basically like, now Suitors, they were a photography company from back in the day, right? So what they did was they created these little half gram, not 1 gram, half gram medallions that were created from pure silver that was recycled and recovered from their photography equipment, right? So they have photography equipment that you use silver in all these electrical components, so they use the silver from these electrical components, melted them down into these half-gram medallions for Suitors, and they shared them with the Suitors family. And so I was able to acquire a nice stack of those. I just found that they were very cool, and the reason I grabbed them was because Suitors, I'm a collector of Suitors bars, and so the fact that I was able to pick up some more of these, that's just really great, because now I'm able to share some of these and offer them up on the website. I'll be able to get a listing up, at least of this bar right here. I'll be able to get these up, maybe pair them with those nice little half-gram medallions. So I'm always excited, always looking out for some duplicates, and I'm really excited to have been able to pick up some duplicates of the Suitors bars. So that's really exciting stuff. Now over here, Johnson Matthey 5-gram bars. I'm not much of a fractional stacker, but this individual happened to have a stack of 5-gram bars, and I actually only have a couple 5-gram bars available on the website. The premiums are high on them because it's fractional, and just because our cost basis was a little high on them. And so I'm very happy to say that I was able to pick up some more 5-grammers at a more reasonable price, and so that helped me average our cost down. And so now I'll be able to initiate some price drops here pretty soon, as soon as I get the chance, on some of our 5-gram bar products. And so these 5-gram bars are in the original factory seal, some of them are not. And yeah, some of them have a blank back, others have the hammer logo. In fact, all of these, I believe, are blank backs. Yeah, these are all blank backs. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, here's a hammer logo back, right? So those are the two types. I believe they're both 100,000 minted, these bars. So they're not like super rare. It's just kind of a unique piece, right? I would say the most common bar that you would see out there on at any given time would likely be your that just kind of like the standard 1 ounce Johnson Matthey bar. because those are 1 million minted, so that's why you see a lot more of those out there, whereas these are 100,000 minted. So 100,000 minted is still quite high. It's noticeable that you see fewer of these and more of the 1 ounce bars out there. So anyways, I'm always happy to pick up some more fracks for the frac stack, and also for our Fractional Friday drops that are going to be coming up soon. Those will be a nice addition for that. Now over here, we've got 4 Johnson Matthey Metalli Preziosi SPA bars. Now these are like Italian bars, I believe. They're like quite elusive. You know, I haven't really seen too many of these bars out there, and in fact I didn't even really know about them. I was almost going to pass on them, but then I started doing some research and I realized, holy moly, these are some low mintages for some of them. So now for these Garantito bars produced by Johnson Matthey, there's actually 2 different types. Now one of them is a 2000 minted bar and the other is a 250 minted bar. 250, and the only difference between them is that one of them has some of the letters in lowercase, whereas the 2000 minted bar has all the letters in uppercase. So let's take a closer look at these bars and see if we can't distinguish the difference between them after what I've just said. So over here, I see 2 straight off the bat that have lowercase lettering, and this one has uppercase lettering, and this also. So I've got 2 of each type. That's perfect. That's actually what I would want. So you'll notice on this left one, look at the text. It's all written in all uppercase letters. Metalli Prezioso. And then over here, you notice that same text is written in lower. Only the first letter is written in uppercase. It's hard to see, but that's kind of the difference there. Let's see if we can hold 2 up side by side. Yeah, so that's kind of the difference there. 200 minted, or sorry, 250 minted, 2000 minted. Just that slight difference there. So that's pretty cool. Okay. We're coming down to the home stretch. You'll see there's a lot of small denominational silver. I like to collect small denominational silver. I know there's a lot of people who won't even think about stacking 1 ounce bars. We run a store, and so our motto is to make things as accessible as possible, and more people can stack 1 ounce bars than any other type of bar. And in fact, compared to that, more people can stack fractional compared to any 1 ounce bar. So that's why we are a huge fan of accessibility, small denominational silver. Of course, we love to stack bulk. You see us selling 100 ounce bars, you see us stacking 100 ounce bars, but we have compartmentalized our stack very, very nicely. Okay, you got to stay hedged. You don't want to go all in. This sounds very hypocritical. You don't want to go all in on one particular thing. You do want to go all in on one particular thing multiple times over. Right? So you don't want to go all in on any one thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it may seem like, oh, this person is just buying up all the Liberty bars. No, he's hedging with some Liberty bars because he likes Liberty bars and he enjoys holding them for the long term. Now, over here we have some bars that I'm insanely excited about because I had not had a chance to grab duplicates of these, and so I recently showed a 10 ounce Royal Bank bar on the channel, and I only had a couple of these 1 ounce Royal Bank bars. Actually, I only had one, in fact, but now I have a couple. I've got a few because I managed to pick up 2 more in the original factory seal, and this is, I would say, one of my favorite 1 ounce bars to collect, period, and also the 10 ounce variety is one of my favorite 10 ounce bars to collect. The 10 ounce bar is 250 minted. This one, I believe, I want to say is 1,000 minted, and I just love that Royal Bank stamp there on the back. It's just a beautiful bar. Now this is something I wasn't intending on picking up, but I just found it to be a really cool piece. I believe this is a 5,000 minted piece, Alexander's. It's basically a gift ingot. This thing was worth $25 at the store, Alexander's, and it's a gift ingot. Johnson Matthey produced for some company called Alexander's. Now over here, we're starting to get down to the home stretch. Okay, we got two more very, very unique things to unbox here. Now, I was doing a little bit of research on the Engelhard Industries of Canada bars, and so there's a few types out there for these 1 ounce bars. This right here, believe it or not, you know, you can go ahead on engelhard.com and you'll find that there's multiple varieties of these Engelhard Industries bars. These are what you would call part of the 100K series. You see these serial numbers, 100,000, they're in the 100,000 range there. Well, if you do your due diligence, you do your proper research, you'll find out that these bars right here are actually 250 minted each. There's only 250 of this particular type bar out there, and it has to do with very small nuances about how those ones are written. You'll have a bar that looks exactly like this, but the font of the one is slightly different, and so that makes it a I want to say like a 12,500 minted bar, or something crazy like that. Still very low mintage, but because of the way that the ones are written on this bar, it's a straight one rather than a fancy one. 250 minted, crazy. So I'm pretty sure I have a bullhead logo. So all Engelhard Industry of Canada bars don't have a bullhead logo on it like that. But just because it has a bullhead logo, it does not mean that it's a really, really rare 250 minted bar, right? I actually have a few Engelhard Industries bars of Canada bars without the bull logo, and I had just one with the bull logo, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. But that one that I had with the bull logo was not a 100K series. It was not a 250 minted bar. I think it was a 12,500 minted bar. In fact, we might even have, no, I don't think we had the one with the bullhead logo available on the site for purchase. So anyways, these were very, very high premium bars, but I had to pick them up because there's only 250 out there. I didn't know if I would be able to find another bar like this. So that's kind of what happened there. And now when it comes down to bars that I don't think I would ever have a chance of finding, that's what you see right here. And I'm saving the best for last because I've never seen these bars available for sale. I'm so excited to be able to hold these in my hand, and I'm super excited to actually be able to see what they look like. So let's go ahead and take a look inside. These bars right here, believe it or not, are some of the rarest 1 ounce bars that I have. And when I say rare, I mean rarer than these Engelhard Australia bars, which are insanely elusive. These are 500 minted each, and they sell at a crazy high premium. You know, people fight over those bars. They try to snipe those bars, and they're very highly sought after bars. So I try to pick those up whenever I can. These bars, if these were ever available for sale, I feel like if they got in front of the right eyes, in front of the right collector, they would pay ungodly amounts for this, just like I did, right? As soon as I saw these, I was like, I need to grab these because they're not going to be there anymore, and I'll never have a chance to buy them again because these are 100 minted bars. There's only 100 of them out there. There's only 98 of them out there because SBS has 2 of them now, and there's only 98 out in circulation. Who knows if any of those were melted down, but this is right here the Impex bar. I hope I pronounced that right, but this is something that I've only ever seen on the All Engelhard website. I've never actually seen it in the flesh, and I'm so freaking grateful to have 2 of them. This reminds me of the Royal stamped bars, the Colonial bars, very, very similar vibe. But, you know, the Colonial bar, for example, I mean, that doesn't have anything on the Impex bar. The Colonial bar, however elusive, it's a 1,000 minted bar. There's very few of those out there. If you're able to get those, it's pretty crazy. It's very, very difficult to find, but this is 10 times more difficult to find than a Colonial bar. It's just insane. So I hope you enjoyed this epic unboxing. And screw banks. Cheers!